stapled his hand.
What?
Okay.
Wait, really? No. That's what Sia said.
Okay, guys, we'll start. I don't see Karnu. Karnu, are you there, beta? Yeah. Okay. Can I see you? Okay, awesome. Come on, let's do it. Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kamshacharunamardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Purna Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vishvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Okay. Hi. Welcome.
You guys joined a bit late.
That's okay. So hey guys, couple things. Sora, you can see me, beta. Otherwise, you and Parthi can switch places.
She can scoot over here. We should scoot over.
Sora, you can't see, right? She can't see, so.
You can't see. Shut up. Yeah, why
Okay,
you sit back there?
Guys, I want to make a rule from today. Right? We are getting too much disturbance in the class, and we are going very slow because of that disturbance. So what are we gonna do?
No talking.
No talking policy, right? So no talking policy, and there is no comment going on between each other, right? If somebody asks a question and you say, oh yeah, Sean, oh yeah, Vansh, oh Sunny, oh this, oh that is not going to happen. If anybody going to talk to each other without my permission or comment on anybody's comment, what's going to happen?
Detention.
We're going down. AP Gita class.
No,
We're going down a level.
Detention.
No, you have
Once
to
we're
recite.
going from honor
You will have to alone recite the whole chapter 2.
Oh
Okay?
So what we did so far?
No, the whole chapter 2, guys.
All 72
All 72 slok you have to recite by yourself.
for everyone.
Not everybody.
Okay, so watch out what you say. Okay? Are you guys good?
What if we're talking to you?
Then it's okay. And you know, when I talk, you guys don't talk, right? So when I ask a question, that's when you tell me. Or you raise your hand, like in school that you do. You raise your hand and you talk to me with that. Are you good with that? Everybody good? And the last thing, the rule also apply if somebody asks a question and if you guys laugh at it.
Wait, I
Okay? That rule also
you.
apply. So everybody can ask the question, because what happens is anybody asks question, is it funny or not funny, you guys laugh, and that's not right. Okay? So you want to make sure that nobody laughs at anybody's question. If somebody does that, what's going to happen?
Everyone
should
recite
the whole chapter 2. How many slokas does the chapter? 72 verses. So whoever is ready to recite 72 verses, welcome to the
Lunch.
Are we going to do trivia again when we end the chapter? Are we going to do trivia again when we end the chapter?
Well, yeah.
It was not trivia, it was
Jeopardy. Sorry.
So you guys ready? Did you guys listen to the rules too? You got it? Okay. Krishu, can you put this close to me because it's too far? Can you guys listen to me? Can you guys hear me? All good?
What page are we on?
Perfect? Okay. Awesome. people here, so let's get them
Wait a
introduced.
minute.
And I don't know who doesn't know these two people.
Everyone.
Sunny, oh Sunny doesn't know. So Urja, you have to introduce yourself.
You have to look at him though.
And
'cause he's
Neil.
over
No,
there.
you-
I'm just gonna. Okay.
Oh, Neil and Varshini also doesn't know you.
I'm Orja,
Or-
and I'm 14 years old. Your turn.
I'm 6 years old. Bye bye.
Good job. So 6-year-old, anybody 6-year-old in here? Nobody. So you are the youngest one.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
wow.
stole John's.
John, we
Yeah,
have
I'm second youngest. You are the second youngest. And Anya is the also second youngest, but
I'm the
Dakshu is the youngest. Who is talking here?
What?
Yo!
Anj, can you move left towards me, please? Anj, please.
I know, I wasn't even talking, I swear.
I know, but come close to me. Okay, guys. So we have Urja and Daksh as a new member here. So welcome to the class. And we're gonna start the class. So because we have a couple new members on, like Darshan and Dhruv also joined us just the last week. So it's good to have a good, revision of where we are and how we are doing. So everybody get to the same pace, right? So can we do that? And it's going to get a revision for you guys too, because I'm sure we lost the thought what we did in the first class. I am sure it will be helpful to you. Yes.
Don't we do this every weekend?
No,
No, we go back like 2 slugs.
Yeah, we just got to the last class. Now we're going to do all, how many classes? 13 or
15.
Wait, that's like the
15
one.
Okay, so 15 classes. We have to do real quick. Okay, guys? So, what we are doing is we are studying Gita, which is a book that was written by Valmiki, which was written by Ved Vyas, and it was actually in the middle of the battlefield, was said by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, right? So that's what the Gita is all about, and why and how it started. It was like Arjuna was ready to fight. So in chapter 1, there were 4 stages of chapter 1. Who remembers those 4 stages of chapter 1? Anybody remember what was the first stage?
Introduction of
No.
What are we?
What was?
What are no?
No, that's the second
Heroes.
What are us?
Introduction of heroes.
I know there is an introduction.
first one.
Introduction to the
Preparation of the
Preparation.
show.
Oh yeah.
So what happened is on chapter 1st, we divided chapter 1st in 4 parts. We are on chapter 2nd right now, but I'm just giving you a revision of chapter 1st. Okay, guys? So chapter 1st, we divided into 4 parts. The first one was preparing for the battle. So everybody was ready to do, like everybody was taking their position. There was Kauravas, there were Pandavas. They all were ready to fight. So they took their position in the battlefield to fight. That was the first set of slokas, of verses that we study in chapter 1st. Then what was the second part?
Introduction of the hero.
What?
Gita.
Krishna's confusion.
No, that was the fourth.
Arjun's confusion.
That
Urgent
was the second one.
Arjun's
Huh?
Oh.
No, that was chapter 2. Victory signs of Pandava.
Oh, yeah.
I said that.
Victory sign of, you did?
No.
Victory signs of Pandava. So second part of first chapter was that there were signs that showing that victory was inside of Pandavas, right? There was a Kapidwaj in their side, there was Krishna Bhagwan on their side. So there were too many signs showing that Pandavas will win, right? So that was the second part of first chapter. What was the third part of first chapter?
Introduction of the hero.
Introduction of the heroes. So who are 2 heroes in Gita?
Krishna and Arjuna.
So there are 2 heroes. Daksh, you got that? There are 2 heroes. One is Arjun and one is Krishna. So in third part of chapter 1st, we got introduction of both heroes, right? So we got that who is Krishna?
Bhagwan.
No. In chapter 1, what does it show? That
Charioteer.
Charioteer, right? So he started as Arjun's charioteer, right? There was a chariot and Krishna Bhagwan was driving Arjun's charioteer. So his introduction was like a servant to his bhakta. Bhakta was who? Arjun, right? So Arjun is a normal person, but Bhagwan is actually actually serving the bhakt. That's what was the introduction of both the heroes. Was that. What was the last part?
Arjun's confusion.
So what was the confusion about Arjun?
Why he's fighting?
Why he?
Why should I fight? So what was the five confusions? Do you guys remember the five
Yeah,
confusions?
first was
One at a time. Raise your hand. Okay, what was the first confusion?
I think it was. I remember one of them was
I have them written
like,
down.
what's the point of having
Compassion.
There's no
Entertainment.
Hey, Neil, you want to recite the whole second chapter?
Confusion.
Raise your hand and say, right? Okay, so, what was you saying, Sanay? Then I will go to the next one.
kingdom. What's the point about ruling a kingdom if there's no people?
Yeah, it was that family values. The family will destruction of family. Right, good. Well, Neil, go for the next one.
Compassion.
Compassion to the body, right? He has, oh, my body will die or I will kill other people. So, compassion towards the body, right? Sia? Sin, yeah, I'm going to be in sin if I'm going to kill these many people or I'm going to hurt anybody. So, it will be sin on me. So, that was the third confusion of Arjun. Ansh, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did. But I have one more.
Yeah.
Indecision.
Indecision, right? He couldn't decide which is right, which is wrong, right? What is my duty? He couldn't understand that part, right? So, Nishi?
Entertainment.
Entertainment, right? Hey, if everybody dies, all my family people die, who am I going to show off that I am the king?
We love that for him.
Sanya was saying that, okay. So he's like, I couldn't entertain myself because I got all these palace and everything so nice, but then nobody is to show off. So Arjun got 4 and 5 confusions and saying, hey, why should I fight? I don't want to fight, right? So that's where we ended chapter number 1. So Krishna Bhagavan didn't even say a word in chapter number 1, right? He was just listening, calmly listening to his friend venting out that how bad it is and he couldn't fight. Right? So that was chapter number 1. Just to summarize for you, right? We took 4 classes to do this, but for you we're going to complete it in 5 minutes. Okay. So now let's start chapter 2. So chapter 2, let's again discuss. There were 4 parts in chapter 2 also, right? So who's going to say? Anybody from there can tell me what was the part of chapter 2?
Arjun's disciple.
No, that's the second one.
Alia, you remember? Neha, do you remember? What was the part of chapter 2?
I forgot the first one.
No? Okay. So raise your hand, guys, if you want to say what is the part of chapter 2. Nishi, go.
Arjun's disciple.
Arjun as a disciple, right? Yeah.
Oh, did I say that? Oh, it says. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, right? Arjun as a disciple. We made a sign like this, right?
And then the last one, Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
okay.
the last one.
What was the second?
What are we?
Let them take it.
What are we?
What are we, right? So what are we? That was the second one.
What are we? I don't know.
What are we?
What does disciple mean?
Okay, I will tell you. Let's
Someone
finish
like a
this.
student.
Okay. Risha, I'm gonna talk to Urja, okay? So you guys don't give the answer. Okay. Risha, you want to go with the
Spiritual practices.
spiritual practices, right? So we went 3 spiritual. So, Darshu and Dhruv, do you understand those, what I'm saying right now? We divided the chapter into 4 parts, right? So the first part was Arjuna's disciple, so we made a sign language to it too. So Arjuna's disciple. The second one was what are we? What are we like this? And then spiritual practices like this. And what was the 4th one?
Different.
Krishu.
Difference between
Until I don't ask you, don't say it. Anil said.
Difference between enlightenment and the normal person.
Yeah, difference between who is the enlightened person and what is the normal person. So difference between those 2. So these are the 4 parts of chapter number 2. So going back to disciple question. Disciple is follower. Okay, so the follower of a person, a guru or something, that's the disciple. Surrender themselves to the other person. That's disciple. Right? So Arjun became disciple. You got it? Okay, so that's the 4th step. Now, till what happened when Krishna Bhagavan starts talking to Arjun, saying, "Hey, why are you grieving?" Arjun starts the whole 9 yard again, saying that these are the 5 things that I am grieving. So first 10 sloks, verses on chapter 2 are also Arjun saying the same thing again. Saying that no, I don't want to fight because of this, because of that. You did not hear me correctly, so I don't want to fight, right? So Arjun comes back and tells the same thing to Krishna Bhagavan again, that I don't want to fight, for the first 10 sloks of chapter 2. Now from 11th slok, that's where Krishna Bhagavan starts speaking and giving all the knowledge to Arjun, that why you should fight, right? So what do you have? Second?
On one slope, didn't Arjun say you tell me now what to do?
Yes, so I'm coming to that. So in slok number 7, good you reminded me. Sunny. So on slok number 7, till that time Arjun keep on saying, no, these are my things that I cannot fight. These are my things I cannot find. So he kept finding excuses. But on chapter number 2, slok number 7, then he says, oh God, you know what? I am doing a mistake here. I don't know what is right, what is wrong. I am surrendering myself to you, Lord. Show me the path. So till 7th slok, he just keep on giving all the excuses, all like from first chapter to second chapter till 6th slok, he kept on saying, no, it's not my fault, but this is what's going to happen, so I'm not going to fight. But on 7th slok, he said, my intellect is clouded. I cannot think straight. So God, please, I am in your surrender. You are knowledgeable. You are great. You know right and wrong. Tell me what to do. That time, Shri Krishna Bhagavan starts teaching him. Until that, he doesn't teach, because until you don't surrender to God, God doesn't come and teach you anything. So you have to surrender yourself, then God helps you, right? So that's what happened in this case too. Arjun eventually surrendered himself to the God, and then God says, okay, let me teach you. Now God didn't go directly and say, this is right and this is wrong. What God said? Let me teach you about yourself, and then you make a decision, right? So
I was listening. I was listening.
I know you were listening.
Right whenever you said God, you have to ask God. You have to surrender yourself to God. Then He comes. So when you said that, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. So that's what happens, right? So now at this moment, our Krishna Bhagavan is ready to say, but Krishna Bhagavan is very smart, right? He's not going to give you the answer and you just cheat and pass the exam. What he is doing is, he is asking you to find your own answer by giving the knowledge, saying, hey, who are you, right? He wants to know what you are so you can figure out the answers by yourself. So Arjun started figuring out his answers by himself. So then in slok number 11, so if you guys can follow the slok in the book, you will be together on that. So slok number 11 is the first time when Krishna speaks out and starts his knowledge, right, in chapter 2. Do you have Gita with you? I will give you so you can just...
Thank you.
Follow.
Okay.
Are we starting from where we ended?
Yeah, we're going to start. After I finish really...
I forgot what page we're on.
Yeah, but we will do quickly the summary on...
88, but the slow she's talking about is a bit like...
Yeah, it's 11. Slok number 11. 12.
Somewhere near 80. Oh, yeah.
Can you read Hindi?
No.
Yeah. So there is English.
Good luck.
There's English right there.
Oh.
Yeah, it has English too. So guys, so what happened is, stroke number 11. Anybody knows what was it? Yes, Krish?
He says that Arjun, you're talking like a wise person, but you're grieving for people, and then he says you shouldn't grieve for the dead or the alone.
Yeah. So what he is saying, he is giving a statement that, though you are talking like a wise person, whatever excuses that you are giving is right. You are talking like a wise person, but you are not following the right things, right? So he's saying no need to grieve. It's not about grieving on any dead or alive. Now this is a very blunt statement from Arjun, right? From Krishna Bhagavan, saying even if somebody is dead or alive, don't grieve on them. So Arjun was like, what? What are you talking about? So then Krishna Bhagavan continued by in verse 12. He says that there was never a time that I was not there. There was never a time you were not there. There was never a time that these kingsmen that are surrounded in the battlefield were not there. That means what? They were before, now they will be after now. So now he is like very confused. Arjun is very confused. What is he talking about? That there was never a time I was not there. Though what he is trying to say is that even we were not in this form, somehow we were there before and somehow we were going to be there after our death too. Right? So that's how it is. Now on verse 13 he talks about how we grow from being a kid to an adult to an old to decay our body and we die. The same way we change our body and move on, right? So here is the concept where he introduced that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect, we are something else. We are the consciousness that is inside us, right? That prana that we are inside us, that's the one that we are. We are not this body, we are not this brain, we are not this intellect, right? So this is where he says how we grow from being a kid to the young age to the old age. We keep going the same way when we change our body and move to the next body. So that's what in 13 verses he says. Then 14 he talks about that all these happiness and distress that we go through, it is because of sense perception. All the senses, like the taste, the eyes, the ears, the hearing, the listening, the seeing, the feeling, all these happiness and sadness and distress come from these five senses, right? So we are happy to see really good things. We are sad to see very bad things, right? So all these happiness and sadness are related to these five sense organs. There is nothing else that gives you happiness or sadness. If you pleased, some of the sense organ is being pleased. That's why you are very happy. And when these sense organs are not pleased, you are very upset, right? So these are, the happiness is depending on the sense organs, the five sense organs. Then on slok 15, he goes saying that the person who balances happiness and stress is ready to liberate. Liberated means getting moksha, that we talk about, moksha, liberation, not getting into birth and death cycle. So he just introduced that self really quickly, saying that if you can balance happiness and sadness and not get impacted by those things, then you are ready to getting a liberation. Then the 16th slok comes, which is very profound, where it says, it introduces the characteristics of our consciousness, our own self, that we really are. So those are what? That we are real, we are immutable, it doesn't take birth, it doesn't die, it is unchangeable, it keeps going on, it goes from one body to another. And in the few sloks, other sloks, he talk about that it's how we change the clothes every day. That's how the consciousness changed the body in the end, right? How we took the worn off clothes and wore a new clothes, the same way the body, our Atman, the consciousness, leaves the body, change the body and move on to the next body, right? So that's how he introduced the characteristic of consciousness, that the consciousness never takes birth, never dies, it continues, keep going on from body to body to body to body. So what he's trying to explain to Arjun, that the body that you are getting worried about, the first confusion on Arjun was what? Compassion of the body, right? I'm going to kill somebody's body. So he's saying that don't worry about it, because the body is not you. The body is not that person, right? What it is, the consciousness is the person, own self. That's how he introduced what are we. So we are not this body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect. What are we?
Soul. The consciousness.
Soul, the consciousness. That's what we are in real nature. right? So until 19 shlok, he introduced that. Until 20 also is the characteristics of all the consciousness, that it doesn't take birth, it doesn't die, it stays, it's immutable, it's unpermeable, it's constant. So there are so many characteristics we study in from 19 shloks to 24th shlok, right? So we are at 25th shlok, right? But we will recite again from 11 to 24 and then we will start the 25th.
Who's singing today?
Reha is singing to them.
Oh.
So let's open shlok number 11 and start reciting from there, and then we will stop at 24 and then we will start the 25th one. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha
Ashochanandashocasvam prajnavadanscha vasase gatasunna nanushocanti pandita natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadita nacheva na bhavishyama sarve vyayamata param vedinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati matra sparshastu konteya shitoshan sukha Agamavayino nityas tanstitikshasvarata yam hinam yadayantyete purusham purusharshava samadukka sukham dhiram somruttaya kalvate nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata ubhayorapi drashtotas varnayostadarshini avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam nidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati Antamantarhideha nityasyota sharirana anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasya bharata ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhato na vijanito Nayam hanti na hanyate na chayate priyate vadachin Nayam bhutva bhavita nabhuya Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire Vinashinam nityam yahenam advayam katam sa purusha partha kamarayanti hantikam vasam sijirnani yata vihaya navani grunati naro parani tata sharirani vihaya jirna nyanyani sanyani namani dehi nenam chandanti shastrani nenam dahati pavaka nachenam kledayantyapo nashoyanti maruta Achedyo namadayoyam akledyo shoshayevacha nitya sarvagata sarvur
Sanatana. No, this is the Okay. Reha, you ready? Okay, come on, start.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam.
Avikaryoyam muchyate.
Avikaryoyam uchyate.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Tasmadevam viditvainam.
Nanu shochittumarhasi.
Nanu shochintumarhasi.
Together.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. Avikaryoyam uchyate. Tasmadevam viditvainam. Nanu shochintumarhasi.
Good job, Reha. Okay. So now we are towards the end of, he's summarizing, he's summing it up, what am I, right? So he's summarizing it, he's saying that this self is unmanifested, unchangeable, unthinkable. Knowing such, what is the sense in grieving, right? So he talks about all the characteristics of consciousness, and now he's saying if the consciousness is like this, that it is unchangeable, unmanifestable, nobody can kill it, water cannot wet it, air cannot dry it, a weapon cannot kill it. What was the fourth one?
Dirt? No.
No, what was it?
Wind.
Wind cannot dry it, water cannot wet it,
A weapon cannot
Fire
Slice
cannot
it.
burn.
fire cannot burn it, right? So he just compared, if somebody is thinking that I'm the body, then Krishna Bhagavan is clarifying this, saying you are not the body, right? Because body can be killed by weapon, can be burned by fire, can get wet by water, can get dry by air, right? Body can have all these things, but consciousness doesn't. So if your real self is consciousness, then you cannot have these things, so that doesn't go there. So that's what he's saying. All these characteristics, if you know, if you are cannot be killable, you cannot die, you cannot take birth, you are not changeable, right? So why to grieve, right? If you are real sense, if you are like that, then what's to grieve about or what to be fear about, right? So there is no fear because nothing can change it. So in this shlok, he's summing it up, saying that all these things are you. So why are you scared of? Why are you grieving? Right? So that's the shlok number 25 that he's summing it up. Right? So if you look at Ashocyanam Vashochastvo, no, it's Avyaktayam Achintyoyam. So what it is, you are unmanifested, unconvincible, unchangeable. So first line he tells all these characteristics, and then in the second line he talks about that if you are like that, what is to be worrying about, right? So why are you grieving when you are real? Your real self is all these characteristics of consciousness, right? Okay, we can go to 26 slok. You ready, Reha? Go ahead.
Adashenam nityajatam.
Achainam nityajatam.
Nityavamanyasemitam.
Nityam vamanyasemitam.
Tatapi tvam mahabaho.
Tatapi tvam mahabaho.
Naivam shochittumarhasi.
Nainam shochittumarhasi. Achainam nityajatam. Nityam vamanyasemitam. Tatapi tvam mahabaho. Nainam shochittumarhasi.
Now in this, what happened when he says 24 shlok. Like, he's a teacher right now, right? For Arjun, he is a teacher, he's a guru. So, usually teachers know what a good teacher always know what students are thinking, what is going on in their mind, right? Do you have the teacher that can figure it out by your face? Anybody? Not right now. Online.
Not over Zoom.
Some good teachers know what you're thinking. No?
So Mati, do you know what I'm thinking?
Right now?
Yeah, I'm thinking one word.
What?
I have to guess.
I don't know.
Okay,
Well,
okay, wait, never mind.
Okay, tell me.
Telepathy.
Telepathy, I don't know.
I don't think she would ever guess that.
Yeah.
No, but
No, we
the
have
teacher
special
knows
text.
are you
My
understanding
favorite
or
was
not understanding the subject.
Sometimes.
Right?
Feel like
Oh, you mean like that? You
Yeah.
think I'm
But you have to
understanding?
pretend that you
Yeah,
know,
you
so
are.
just make it awkward for the class.
What's that?
like sometimes I know if you practice right.
Yes, right?
Always know.
So,
They always
and
practice.
you're saying
my
something
teacher
to
told me.
That is not talking with each other. Okay. Who was saying here something?
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Karna, were you saying something?
Yeah, my teacher knows when I'm thinking of something and when I need help with.
See, such a good teacher, right? When you play any instrument, doesn't your teacher know whether you practiced or not as soon as you?
My dentist knows
Me.
if I
My teacher
my
knows
dentist
that.
knows if I put on my retainer or not.
Yeah,
So-
your teeth.
So, you know what happens is our Krishna Bhagavan is a great teacher, right? So, he actually teaching us after 5,000 years. Like, we are reading his
He
book.
probably knows what
you
we're
know.
thinking right now.
So, Arjun was thinking, what was Arjun thinking at that time? Krishna Bhagavan figured it out, right? So, that's why what he did is, he understand because Arjun was looking at Krishna Bhagavan while he was teaching him what yourself is. He was looking at him with an open mouth, staring that I don't understand anything, what you are saying.
Is Bhishma still there?
Yeah,
Oh my
he's
God.
on the side of the.
I bet he understood it.
Yeah. So
Nothing
now Krishna Bhagavan got it. Like whatever I said so far, probably Arjun is not getting it, right? So he is in this 26th slok. He says, now let's think about it that you are a body, right? So he came back to saying, okay, I told you about that you are not your body, you are not your mind, you are not your intellect, you are you yourself you think as consciousness, right? You are that. And he told so many characteristics of the consciousness. But at this time, what happened is, Arjun is thinking like, Arjun couldn't get it, so Krishna Bhagavan is like, let's say, even if you are a body, and you die, and you're born, and you die, and you're born, where is the time to grieve? Because you're going to die and you're going to born again. So Krishna Bhagavan came back to the normal ground and say, hey, my student is not understanding right now. Let me step back and let's start all over again. Right? So now he just summarizing it, closing it, saying that let's say now, if you don't think you are consciousness, and let's think you are body right now, right? So even if you are body, then you are subject to constant death and birth. It's going to keep going and coming. So why are you grieving about it? Because if you die, you're going to born again, right? So why are you grieving on anything? So why are you being sad on anything? Because this body will go and you will take another body, right? So even if you think you're a body, there is no use of grieving. So now what happened is, if you look into that, all these knowledge was given for you are yourself, right? What is yourself is. But now when Krishna Bhagavan understood that Arjun is thinking about that I am not getting this, because this is the first time he is listening to all these things, right? So far he was thinking about, I'm going for the war, I'm going to kill all these enemies, I'm going to win the war, I'm going to have a palace. So he's thinking about I right here, right? So now Krishna Bhagavan is saying that he, like as soon as he gave the knowledge of who you are, yourself as a consciousness, he actually he lost Arjun at that point because he was not coming at that mindset, right? He was coming with the mindset of me as a body, mind, and intellect. So he's not coming with that mindset that I'm going to learn beyond this. So that's why Krishna Bhagavan brought it back down to, let's say if you are body and you're going to lose this body, but you're going to gain another body again. So why are you grieving? Again, giving another point that you should not grieve about losing the body in this fight, right? Now he's going to give why, right? So now he's going to give all the answers why is you should not grieve even if you think you are body, mind, and intellect. Good? You ready? We're going to go to slok number 26 and we'll start
The
there.
arrow needs to have that conversation.
No, 27. Sorry, Reha, 27.
जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः
जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्
ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च
ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च
तस्मात् अपरिहर्यते
तस्मादपरिहार्यते
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Together. जातस्य हि ध्रुवं मृत्युर् ध्रुवं जन्मामृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्यते न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Okay. To one who is born, that is certain, right? The thing, so here is a new concept coming from Krishna Bhagavan. The person who is born, they're gonna die for certain. They will go through the death process, right? But the next line that he says, the person who dies will born again, that's also certain, right? So you know what is the concept he's bringing in here? He actually brought two concepts in this law. One is the person who's gonna born, anything that comes in birth will have an end, right? We already know that, right? Any new news to this? Right? Everybody knows this, right?
I thought it was immortal, but
No, it's not, right? The body is not. You are.
yeah, I'm immortal.
You are immortal. Your consciousness is immortal, right? But anything that is born will die. It is normal, right? We know that. None, like every religion agree to this, right? Even if it is Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, Christianity, everybody knows this, right? Even forget about religion. Even if person who doesn't follow the religion, you will say, hey, do every human being or do every living being die? And what will they say? Yes, right? That's obvious, right? But the second line he says, whoever dies is born again, right? So this is new concept. What is it? Rebirth, right? He brings the concept of that the person who dies will born again, and this is also certain, right? So he put the certainty on this also, that if you die, if the body dies, you're gonna have rebirth, right? So the concept of rebirth comes in here, right? Now, when the concept of rebirth comes in here, the concept of karma comes also. Because how do you get the new body? On based of your
Good deeds.
karmas, right? The karmas of last birth, you get the new body. So then you select the body according to what karma you have done, right? That's how the selection process is being done, right? Now, Vivekananda Swami had a really powerful statement about this. Saints dies and sinner dies, right? Pauper dies and emperor dies. And he said, the learned dies and ignorant dies, right? So everybody dies. The dying is as certain as possible. But what? It all depends. None is habitable on their karma. So whatever the karma they do, depending on that, it continues the next process, right? So Krishna Bhagavan in this shlok brought two concepts of Hinduism. One, that there is a rebirth, right? Which some religion don't agree on it. but Hinduism is based on rebirth, right? So one is concept of rebirth, and the second is concept of karma, right? So those two things were brought in this slope where he talks about it. Now, what happens? Let's talk about how the rebirth happened and how we get the selection of the body, right? So usually what happens is the physical body dies, right? When we die, what happened? The physical body goes in. We talk about three bodies. What were they?
Mind, body, and intellect.
No.
Oh, their bodies.
Krishna, hands up.
Hands up.
Gross, gross, casual, and sub.
Just kidding.
Causal. We talk about causal body, right? So physical, gross is what? Physical body, right? So physical body. The second is subtle body, right? Mind, intellect, all these come in subtle body, right? And then causal body, which is Maya and everything that we did not read a lot on it, but it is the vasanas and desires and all those things are in causal body as a seed form, right? So these three bodies are there. So when we die, what happens? The physical body decays, right? It's gone. Now you cannot use it. It's buried, it's mixed in the earth. Either they put it in the earth or they burn it, right? So it's gone. Physical body is gone. Subtle body and causal body makes a kind of seed. You can imagine a seed, little seed of the plant. So subtle body and causal body goes in a seed and moves to the next body, right? So that's how the rebirth happens. So now what happens is the slice of these things goes with it. Now we have what goes with us?
Karma.
Karmas, right? So whatever we do in this life, that is stored as our prarabdha karma, right? So all these karma that we do in lives and lives, we have many, many lives. In Hinduism, it says that, in this also Gita, it keep on saying that you have many births, right? There was never a time you were not there. There was never a time I was not there. Means we had so many births that we have. So many births keep going. So we have a storage, kind of storage of our karma. So consciousness has a storage of all the karma that it carries with a subtle body and a causal body, right? Now, there are many kind of good karmas and bad karmas, right? So I always give an analogy of let's say this is a, what is it? Yeah, like all the arrows are sitting in this quiver. Okay? It is mix of good and bad karma, right? So now what happens, there are many lives, so many karma got settled in this, right? Now, when we die, low battery guys in this.
We die, our battery is low.
When we die, the battery gets low.
Too bad we're not
Rachel, you
rechargeable.
can put it
Technically.
Wait, it's a different way.
Dude, so is it like a random pick of every
Guys, I'm sorry, the iPad got low battery. No, push it there and
You were actually in the wrong
okay, there you go. Keep going.
Good job.
Let's keep going. You guys are okay?
Yeah.
Are you?
We lost our eraser.
Oh.
You lost her.
Not even pushing it on.
Guys, tell me. उधर रखिए थोड़ा सा उधर कर दो. इधर कर दो. Make it faster, Krishna.
You're so funny.
Hey guys, they are too far from me, so you have to be very quiet and I have to be very loud. We good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. Neil, you were asking me a question? Okay. It was what?
Yeah, but it's kind of weird. Krishna said that there was never a time we were there, and there was a time that we weren't there. When he means that, does he mean as in never a time when the universe started, or were they there before the universe was there?
No, he's talking about the universe. So what happens is the consciousness, he was there. He was there before that too, right? but then the consciousness started giving the birth after the Brahma started giving. In Hindu mythology, what it says that Brahma is the creator of the earth, right, of the universe. So the creation started after that. But the consciousness was there before the universe, after the universe. So if you think about Krishna Bhagavan saying about the consciousness, it was even before the universe you were there. You got it? So you were there ever before. So there was never a time that he was not there or we were not there. Got it? Guys, you can hear me? Okay. So we were talking about, I'm going to tilt the board a little bit like that so you guys can see it. So what happened, our good karmas and bad karmas are here stored as an arrows in our storage, So let's say in one life we did a lot of good karmas, right? And then we did some bad karmas too, right? So
that would all cancel out.
they don't cancel out. I will tell you when they cancel out, right? So what happened? It is stored. Now one arrow is being taken when we die. One arrow is being taken, and this is a random arrow from our past karmas, right? The random arrow is taken and it has been shooted to the body that we are going to be born again with, right?
Well, I
So-
have an arrow mark on my body.
So it's a little thing that went in there. I'm just talking about the karma, right? Just think about that this is being shoot, right? I will come back to you. So that comes and that goes. So these karma will decide our lifespan, where are we going to get born, where are we going to get the birth, who will be our parents, what tendency we will have. All these are in this one arrow is going to go, right? That's your prarabdha karma goes. Go.
So my question is, can you have like a mix, because not everyone has like a perfect life.
Yes.
And not everyone has like
No,
a terrible life.
Yes. So it will be mixed. Always mixed.
So
Right?
like you'll take some of the
Get
good
my
karma
parents.
and some of that karma and then mix into
Mix
it.
into it and you will get.
See, it can be a mix.
Yeah. Okay,
we're not baking it.
Wait, so you
guys, you talk to me, guys.
No,
Don't talk to each other.
You
So
just
you
said,
can
sorry.
Give it. Okay. go
You
ahead.
can have 1,000 good arrows and then one bad one. And let's say the one bad one gets like this.
That sucks for you. That's happened to you.
Vice versa.
So it's basically one arrow equals like one life, right? So in one life you have bad and good karma, right? So if there's like so much good, it doesn't just become all good. The bad still stays there, so it doesn't cancel out. So every arrow will have like a bad or good karma, because like Urja was saying, you can't have a perfect life or
See?
absolutely.
You can have a terrible life.
Right now, here's the thing. You can have a perfect life when you are enlightened. So that is a different concept of that. So think about that part too. And when you get enlightened, what happens is there is no karma remaining after that, because that's the end of your birth and life cycle, right? That's what we are saying. You are not going to live another life, right? Then you're going to go and you become merged in God in Brahma. You get merged
Also,
in them,
that's
right?
heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's classified as
That's
heaven.
classified as moksha.
What's classified as moksha?
Like when you
No,
don't
it's
feel
like
out of
not
it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what is that?
She's so loud, I swear to God.
You go like this.
Guys, you have to recite chapter 2, remember that.
God,
If
it's
I see you again talking to each other.
I swear to God, I wasn't even saying anything.
Yes, you definitely were.
Okay,
Actually,
guys.
no, that's
You ready? Okay, you ready to listen to this thing? Okay. Guys, do you have any questions there so far? You good? Okay. So that's how it goes, and when this arrow is shoot, it has our lifespan, it has everything on it. Now, the karma that you do in this life, so this is your one life, right? The karma you do in this life will also store for the following life, right? It's going to keep storing, and then it's going to keep coming for one life at a time, right? So these karma, the action of karma is always there. That decides your life, that's decide everything. The disease that you're going to get, or you're going to have a happy life, or you're going to have a sad life, or you're going to have these kind of parents. Yes, Rajan.
I always thought that Young's assistant had the thought that he could control how long your life goes.
Who can control?
Young's assistant. Young was the
Oh, Yamraj's assistant. Yeah, that's a part of God, but you by doing the right karma. Your karma will decide how your life will be. That's why it is so important how we do what we do every day. Right? That's going to decide our life, future life. Okay, so rebirth, guys, can we come back? Okay, Krish.
So like one arrow has all your lifetime like stuff. It has good and bad karma, and then it basically chooses how your life is gonna go, right? So wouldn't that just make this life like a duplicate life of a life you had before?
No.
But
Because you had a past life before this.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I know. So like
but
that
this become mix of everything, right? It doesn't come out of the same life.
My brain can't handle
Yeah,
it.
it's a mix and match.
It's a mix of different lives.
Different lives, yeah. Yes.
So in like a past life, you could be like this cruel person, really mean, and in the next life, you could be this angel, right? Just depends on.
This is why we learn probability in math.
But
For real.
yeah, Sunny, go ahead.
Wait, so are these arrows shot throughout your life? Like say, because sometimes bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
nowhere.
Because you might have done the bad thing too before.
That's when karma kicks in.
That's where the karma comes in, right?
So, like,
Because that's when guys,
Guys,
no talking to each other. Yes.
Okay.
One conversation.
So basically the arrow decides how your life is gonna go. So you don't get like multiple arrows shot throughout the life.
It's just one
It's
arrow.
just one. And like let's say something bad happens to you, like really bad, that arrow already decided it before you were even like born.
Destiny.
Right?
Well,
What if like you
isn't
do
that
bad
like you
things
be
throughout
bad
your
as
life?
much as you want and do just a little bit of good and you
You
can
could
still be a good person in your next life?
possible, but that karma
Then
adds up.
then you
Yeah,
get
that
like a
karma
bad
will
arrow.
pay
and
off
So you
sometime.
have more bad.
You will have to pay off.
Wait,
no matter
so
what.
Oh,
then
so
you
you
have
become
to
a
have
good
have all the
person.
karma it makes. Like
Your
one life you could be so bad that you think, oh, next life I'll be fine, but the life after that you could have.
So basically you can be a good person, but
You
last
have to
thing
pay
pay
off.
off because of last life.
No, so here is the big thing, guys. Jumping back to the
Yo, this isn't a debate.
Okay, come on. Ansh, go ahead.
So let's say a bad arrow shot at you, right? Like a bunch of bad stuff. So in your next life, can you just like do good? Like if you want to, right? You can just do good and change it.
Yeah, you should because that life might not impact it, right? But your following life might impact. And again, this is not scientific,
Yeah.
studies or proof or anything. This is just based on whatever Vedas and whatever Gita and everything our book says.
Just be like,
And also like
That people remember. Some people remember their past karmas and stuff like that. Sometimes that happens.
that's what
in a
deja
dream,
vu
like in a
is.
dream.
That's what deja vu is.
This so sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
you have a comment.
Okay,
Yeah,
think about it.
for-
Every time we like think about something,
So-
and we
the arrow decides what happens to you, doesn't decide what actions you do, right? So you can like have
okay,
like
that makes
really bad stuff, but still have a good life because you did good things, even though really bad stuff happened to you.
So it's very, it's unpredictable what is going to happen to us, right? Is it predictable? Everybody knows what's happened tomorrow? Nobody, right? So it is unpredictable and we actually decide. So there is some force that is deciding our life, right? Yeah.
Like,
Sunny.
sort of, like,
Everybody listen to
it
the question.
decides-
Sometimes it's helpful to listen to other people's question. It might be our question too, right?
decides your fate, but it doesn't like you can still do things
Yes.
to
So
like
that's
not change your fate exactly. Like these, like they're very major things. They're not like every little thing that's gonna happen to you.
You're right. So some people start getting, like we are studying Gita, right? Not everybody study Gita, right? Not everybody will live the values of Gita, right? So if the enlightened person comes, now what happens to it? Would they not go with the sorrow in the life? They will, right? They will still have the life sorrows. They will still have happiness. All the things will keep going for enlightened person too. But what happens is all their karma will start freezing, right? Their karma start freezing because what happened is now they will not have any more lives. So the karma gets they started destroying.
Yeah, there's no
So
point.
good karmas will destroy too, and bad karmas will
So
destroy.
the more we learn, the more it freezes.
Yeah. So more you live,
Oh.
not
No,
more
like,
you
for
realize
example,
it.
just kidding.
Learning doesn't.
That's how
learning-
enlightenment works. Once you're done with all your karma, then you get
Then you get more.
What if you died in
Oh!
Yeah. So
What if
what
you
happens?
die
The
in
karma
age?
doesn't keep adding up
So,
now
like,
anymore. Yes.
You know, like,
that should.
So when you get to the next life, and then you get the karma, and then you move on to the next life, the life before you got the karma, will it still stay in your body?
Yes.
That was
That's
actually a good question.
good.
No, you're
Good
smarter than
comment.
me.
Yeah.
Wait, and I don't speak with that class.
What's the other question?
Yeah, Nish.
No, I don't.
You were saying?
Stop outing me, Chris.
You said cringe.
I didn't say
Okay,
anything.
let's move on. There's
Oh, you said what happens if you have a short life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know Shankaracharya, he only lived till 32, right?
Shankaracharya, but he got moksha,
But
right?
he was enlightened. That means that he was already like really close to finishing in the past life. So in this life, he didn't have to do much to getting enlightenment. So then that's why he died. I guess.
So if we die right now, I mean not right now, but like eventually, and we still learn the Gita, and then the next life we die at a young age, we could still get moksha because we're cool.
Yeah.
We got that point, yes.
So, like,
Oh,
when does the karma stop? When
Listen,
does the karma stop adding up so you can get enlightenment? Like, does it keep adding up until you're like,
keep adding up till you keep on this worldly desire, keep going.
oh,
Right? So that's why the subtle body and the causal body come together and go on, move on to the next body. So subtle body have our tendency and everything. And we talk about this too. Our tendency also goes with our consciousness, right? Our self as a subtle body. So if somebody is a really good painter and next life he might have a tendency of doing a good painting. Though he needs some guidance, but he will be catching up quickly and he become a good painter because he already had that from his past life, that he already was a good painter in his past life. So kind of those tendencies keep moving on to your life, next life, right? Somebody doesn't learn the dance even though they are being taught, but somebody learned the dance without even getting, taught about it. So these are some things that keep coming on there. Okay, let's move on. Because this topic is long topic, we
Okay,
can
it's
be
fine.
stuck here forever, right? So that's how, so the two concepts came in this slopes. What were the two concepts?
One with born
rebirth
not
and
dying.
karma.
So karma and rebirth were introduced. Okay, which slope were we on?
28 now.
28 now. Okay, Reha, you ready for 28?
Cupid? He's the love guy.
It's not me, it's Nishi.
Yeah. Reha? Yeah, you ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
Avyaktabini bhutani.
Avyaktaadini bhutani.
Vyaktamadhyani bharata.
Vyaktamadhyani bharata.
Avyaktanidhananyeva.
Avyaktaani dhananyeva.
Tatra ka paridevana.
Tatra ka paridevana.
Together.
Avyaktaadini bhutani. Vyaktamadhyani bharata. Avyaktaadini dhananyeva. Tatra ka paridevana.
So in this, he clarified one more time that we come from unmanifested. So beginning of us is unmanifested, the middle is manifested, and then we end up going to unmanifested, right? So again he says, why to grieve? When you start with unmanifested thing, you go to manifested, you end up unmanifested. So what is there to grieve? Now, let's talk about unmanifested and manifested. Right? So, what does manifested mean? Which you can see, feel, look, right? You can have it. So our body here, which we get the body, is manifested, right? So in the middle, we are manifested. We started as unmanifested, so that subtle body and causal body, the seed, we cannot see it, right? Then we go to the manifested form, which is our body here, right? Then we end up being unmanifested again between subtle and causal body. So it goes from being unmanifested to manifested to unmanifested, right? So that's how it goes. Then white to green. Now look at a tree, right? Let's take an example of a tree. The seed, right? The small seed, it has everything in it. The whole entire tree is in the seed. Can you see that? But can you see the leaves in the seed?
No.
Can you see the root in the seed?
No.
You cannot see anything in the seed. But microscopically or whatever, however, the whole entire tree is in that seed. Right?
Yeah.
Right? The same way that the causal and subtle body is a seed. Like it is we cannot see a human being in that seed, in the causal and subtle body. So it's unmanifested, right? Then we got a human life and we become manifested, right? Then we die and the subtle body and causal body comes out of us and then it becomes unmanifested again. So he's giving all the reasons to not grieve because this is a continuation of ourself. Right? There is never ending. We think death is the end of our life. It's not.
But it's that it feels like that because you don't remember
Yeah.
the past.
That's why you need to figure this out. That's why he's teaching us all these things that death feels like we are ending there, but we are not ending there. We continue beyond death too, right? So now look at the wave in the water. You remember we took a wave example before?
Yes.
So, wave is, let's say, the ocean, the whole wide ocean is Brahman, right? It's Brahman, the whole wide ocean. The wave comes in, right? The wave comes in as manifested. We say this is a wave, right? And then it goes away, right? When it merged into Brahman again. That's the same way the life is, right? So Brahman is the life, our consciousness is Brahman. The wave comes, the physical body comes, and then it passes on to Brahman and again merge in Brahman, and there is no manifestation of the wave, right? You got that? Another example, like if you shoot an arrow from the darkness, it goes in the light, invisibility, and then it goes back in darkness. That's how he's picturing our life as unmanifested, you cannot see in the dark, right? Then the light comes and you see it where the arrow is going. And then again, it goes in the darkness. So that's how it is manifested. So again, what he's saying that if it is continuation of, if you think you are body, then you will be sad, right? If you think you are consciousness, then you are just changing the body as changing the clothes when you die, right? So that's how the shlok number 28 tells us about. Now let's, do we have time for 29
No.
and 30?
What time is it?
It's 5:11.
Do we have time for 29, 30, 31, 32, 33?
No.
Just kidding.
Do we have time to read the whole Gita?
Do we have time? Do we have time to read? Do we have time?
But then
Do we have time to read two Gita books?
I know, we don't, right? These guys don't stay longer than 1 hour. After 1 hour, everything starts to
Bye-bye.
Okay guys, so we will end it here. So today we actually am ending at stroke number 28. Rehan, I'm sorry you have to continue for next week. Guys, can you be quiet? Can I finish the class and then we talk? Sit down. We haven't finished the class yet. Okay. So Reha, we will do 29 and 30 next time, and Ansh, you will start from 31 to 40, right? So we will start there. So just to summarize today, that we got a big concept said, and we moved on from where we are to now. It's gonna go to the curve, right? So we moved on to the next part where the spiritual practice will start in chapter 2. Good. And now we have been introduced to rebirth and karma. So we're gonna focus on karma yoga now. Good.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's start.
Vasudevasudam Devam Kamsacharunamardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Okay, guys. Now we can
Everybody's
talk.
parents are outside.
Woo, energy.
Bro, they're just having a party without us.
And
Nobody got dead.
Thank you.
No one realized that we all got dead.
Bye.
I feel like such a
I know, right? It's like, yeah.